cloud with rain when the storm took everything, she chose to begin again. In the heart of Vietnam's stormy season, Diem's beloved farm is destroyed by floods. Refusing to give up, she dares to chase a forgotten dream, opening a bakery. With Toan by her side, supporting her every step, hope begins to bloom again. But their love faces a powerful enemy, Toan's mother, who believes Diem is only after his wealth. Will their bond survive the storm brewing within his family? Cherry Blossom subscribe now to follow their emotional journey of love, resilience, and sacrifice. You don't want to miss what happens next. The rainy season had arrived in Vietnam, not with the gentle drizzle of years past, but with a relentless fury that swept through villages and countryside like an unstoppable tide. Heavy, gray clouds loomed over the horizon each morning, and by noon, the skies would open in a downpour so violent it drowned out all sound. Floodwaters surged through the rice fields, overran garden plots, and turned peaceful dirt roads into rivers of mud. For those who depended on the land, the season brought not only water but also despair. On a quiet farm tucked at the edge of the village, Tu Diem stood barefoot under the porch, her eyes fixed on the soaked fields before her. The rows of vegetables she had tended with such care now lay flattened and yellowing under weeks of floodwater. Chickens huddled in corners of the coop, many already lost to the cold and damp. She hugged herself tightly, not because of the chill, but because of the sinking feeling that crept through her chest: uncertainty, fear, and loss. The farm was more than her livelihood, it was her dream. She had built it slowly with her own hands, brick by brick, seed by seed. Each morning she woke with the sun, tended to her crops, fed her animals, and smiled with pride at what she had created. But the storms had no regard for dreams. In just a few short weeks, nature had undone what had taken her years to build. Still, Diem was not the kind of woman to surrender easily. She sat down at the small wooden table inside her home, lighting a single lamp as rain continued to drum against the roof. Her journal lay open before her, its pages filled with sketches, plans, and recipes, memories of an old passion that had never truly left her: baking. Long before she ever owned a farm, Diem had dreamed of opening a small bakery. She loved the science of dough, the poetry of rising bread, and the comfort of warm pastries on rainy days. Life had led her down a different path, but now, perhaps, it was time to revisit that dream, not just as an escape, but as a lifeline. She whispered to herself, almost afraid to say it aloud, if I can't rely on the land anymore, maybe I can rely on my hands in a different way. The idea gave her hope. It was fragile, like the first sprout breaking through the soil, but it was real. She began to imagine herself behind a counter, the smell of fresh croissants filling the room, customers smiling as they took their first bites. She imagined mornings filled not with mud and floodwater, but with flour and laughter. But Diem knew she couldn't do this alone. There was one person she could count on, one person whose belief in her had never wavered: Toan. Her heart softened as she thought of him, the quiet strength in his eyes, the way he always listened without judgment, and how he made her feel seen, even when she tried to hide her struggles. Maybe he would understand. Maybe, just maybe, he would support this new dream. She picked up her phone, fingers trembling slightly, and typed a simple message. "Toan, can we talk tonight? I have something I really want to do." Outside, the rain still poured. But inside, a spark had been lit. Toan replied almost instantly. "Of course. I'm on my way." Less than an hour later, he arrived, his motorbike still wet from the road, raincoat dripping at the doorway. Diem welcomed him inside, her small kitchen warm and fragrant with the scent of ginger tea. She poured him a cup, then sat down across from him, her fingers nervously lacing together. For a moment, she didn't know how to begin. But when she looked into his eyes, so steady, so full of quiet patience, her worries melted. "I've been thinking," she started, her voice soft but clear. "The farm, it's not bringing in anything this season. Everything is either underwater or rotting. I can't just wait for the rain to stop anymore." Toan nodded slowly, understanding the weight behind her words. "I want to try something different," she continued, reaching over to her journal. She flipped it open, revealing sketches of pastries, scribbled ingredient lists, even a mock-up of a small storefront. "I want to learn how to bake again, professionally. And if I do it right, I want to open a bakery. Nothing too big, just a cozy place with a warm oven and fresh bread. I think I can make it work. I just need a little help getting started." She looked up, unsure of what she'd see in his face. Doubt? Pity? Concern? But instead, Toan smiled. A full, genuine, proud smile. "I think it's a wonderful idea, Diem," he said. "Actually, I think it's perfect for you." A rush of relief and emotion flooded her chest. She hadn't realized how much his approval mattered until she received it. He didn't ask her to explain further, didn't question the risk, he simply believed in her. And that made all the difference. In the days that followed, Toan became her biggest ally. On Saturday morning, despite the drizzle, they set out together to scout for potential locations. Hand in hand, they walked down quiet streets lined with closed shops and flickering signs. Some places were too small, others too expensive, but Diem didn't mind. She was finally walking towards something that felt like her future. They laughed as they ducked under awnings to avoid sudden bursts of rain, debated over tile colors and imagined where the oven would go in each space they visited. Toan listened to every detail, asked thoughtful questions, and never let go of her hand once. One afternoon, as they rested at a roadside coffee stall, Toan took out his phone and said, "By the way, we're getting you a new phone." Diem blinked in surprise. "What? Why?" "You'll need it," he said with a grin. You'll be managing orders, taking photos of your beautiful cakes, texting customers. Besides, yours barely works in this rain. Consider it your first business tool. She protested at first, but Toan was persistent. That evening, he took her to the nearest phone shop and, after some teasing over colors, handed her a brand new device with a smile that said he would always have her back. But unknown to them, a shadow followed their every move. In the rearview mirror of a black car parked across the street, a pair of sharp eyes watched as Toan gently tucked the phone box into Diem's bag and pulled her close under his umbrella. The woman in the car frowned, her fingers tightening around the steering wheel. It was Toan's mother. And from her vantage point, what she saw wasn't love, it was manipulation. She made a silent promise to herself right then and there. This girl would not fool her son any longer. Toan's mother had seen enough. From the moment Diem entered her son's life, she had remained skeptical. It wasn't the girl's soft voice or humble background that bothered her, it was the way Toan had changed. He smiled more. He spent less time at home, less time discussing his career, and more time chasing dreams that weren't his. Or so she believed. And now, watching him from the tinted window of her car as he bought Diem a brand new phone, laughed beside her in the rain, and helped her search for a storefront, something inside her snapped. In her eyes, Diem wasn't a girl chasing her dream, she was a clever, quiet opportunist, weaving herself into her son's life with a pretty face and sad story. And Toan, blinded by love, couldn't see it. That evening, she called him home. Toan arrived just before dinner, still smelling faintly of rain and fresh bread. He greeted his mother with a warm smile, unaware of the storm brewing behind her cold gaze. She didn't return his smile. Instead, she gestured silently for him to sit down. "I saw you today," she began calmly. "At the phone store." He blinked. "You were there?" "I've had someone following you for weeks," she said, her voice flat, eyes sharp. "Ever since you started spending all your time with that girl." Toan's shoulders stiffened. "DM? What are you talking about?" "I saw the way she looks at you. The way she lets you pay for everything. The way she clings to you when things go wrong. You're not her partner, Toan. You're her escape plan." "That's not true," he said, standing up. "You don't know her." "I know enough," his mother snapped. "She's using you. She has nothing, and now that her precious farm is underwater, she's latched onto you, your money, your future. And you're letting her." Toan took a step back, as if her words had physically struck him. "She never asked me for anything. I offered because I believe in her. She's working hard to build something of her own. She doesn't need me to do it, she wants me there because she cares." But his mother wasn't listening. "You're my only son, Toan. I built a future for you, one that doesn't involve throwing it away on a girl with a dream and a flood-drenched farm. Maybe your version of the future isn't mine, he said quietly. Maybe I want something different. His words hung in the air like thunder, quiet but ominous. His mother stared at him, stunned for a moment. Then her voice softened, dangerously so. If you choose her, you will lose everything I'd built for you. Toan didn't answer right away. He looked down, fingers clenched at his sides, heart pounding. In his mind flashed the image of Diem sitting at her small table, her eyes glowing as she spoke about cinnamon rolls and braided bread, her laughter when the two of them imagined a bakery filled with light and hope. He looked back at his mother, the silence between them crackling like dry leaves underfoot. I'd rather build something with her, he said finally, than inherit something that costs me my soul. Without waiting for her reply, he turned and left. Meanwhile, across town, Diem sat alone in her small home, carefully arranging ingredients on her kitchen counter. Her new phone buzzed with a message from a baking instructor, and her heart lifted. She didn't know of the confrontation that had just taken place, nor the judgmental eyes tracking her every move. She only knew she was beginning something new, and for the first time in a long while, she felt hopeful. But dark clouds still lingered, not in the sky, but in the hearts of those who didn't believe in love.
Hello, xin chào tất cả mọi người. Vậy là tập phim ngày hôm nay của kênh Ly Tu Diem Review đã kết thúc tại đây. Tập ngày hôm nay có rất nhiều tình tiết mới, đó chính là việc mẹ của CEO Toan đã cho người theo dõi chuyện tình cảm và chuyện tình làm ăn của con gái và con trai. Và đặc biệt bà đang hiểu nhầm Lý Thể Diễn là lợi dụng Toàn để moi tiền của con trai bà, liệu rằng